What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 5 of This is Graphics. Today I have a full house, as you can see. Got some my wonderful co-hosts, Robert Salgado, and I have two guests, Sydney Pert and Shara Easter. How are you guys doing today?
Doing
Say
great, man.
hi. Say hello.
How are you?
Hello, pretty good.
What's
How's
up?
everything, guys? What's going on, Pete?
Good to
Great,
see
great.
everyone.
All right. So, like I said, I just want to welcome everybody back. It's been a fun adventure doing this, and I want to thank everybody for their continued support of this channel and trying to bring awareness to different things. Before we jump into today's big segment of mental health and fitness, I just want to give a quick recap. For most of you that know me, I just finished my first leg of the East Coast Run Tour. Mr. Robert Salgado knows all about that because he's been my interview and co-host on this. So I just want to give a quick recap of what went down the last week during the Easter break. For most of you guys that know me, I went and I ventured out, did a little East Coast 5K run tour in 5 different states. So I hit up North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Florida, and Washington, D.C. counts for a district. What does that count for these days? Not a state, right? No.
Not really.
It is a
District,
statement.
but
All right,
we'll
so
count it.
I did a 5K in Washington D.C. So a total about 8 5Ks within a matter of in a matter of a week. So it was a very fun experience being able to see different things, trying to bring awareness to fitness and just like I said, the whole point of the running challenge for myself is just going out there, meeting new people, engaging, being able to tell my story on how it affects me, how it keeps my mental health different. And like I said, just being creative. So, I really want to share with you guys that experience. I'm going to be bringing some videos within the next week. I'm going to edit them, show you different highlights of what city I like the most, what trail I like the most, what was my best run, and yada, yada. So just a quick little my best moment was Charlotte. I told some of you guys behind the scenes I had a really good time in Charlotte, North Carolina. By far my favorite experience. Reminded me a little bit of Toronto, with the little feel of with the down south feel. You're laughing about Toronto. I see you down in the corner. We'll talk about that later. We have a background Toronto story that one day I'll share as we move forward. But
Talk about
What do you
mental
mean?
health.
yeah, definitely mental health got to me with my time in Toronto. We'll talk about that one day behind the scenes. But Charlotte,
That's an off-air conversation.
yeah, Charlotte was a good time. I had a good time in Richmond, Virginia as well. The trails out there in VA were beautiful. The weather was great. Savannah, Georgia, another big highlight city for me. Very old, but very I don't know. It was like a fairy tale going to Savannah.
Did you run on the river?
I didn't get to run on the river.
On
Savannah.
River Street? No.
No, Savannah. I got a little short-ended with Savannah because that was towards the end of my trip. So with Savannah, I ran the neighborhood. I ran a historic park around there. So, it's one of those places I definitely want to go back, do a family trip, do 2 or 3 days out there. But and in Florida, I've ran in Florida. I did Orlando, did Jacksonville. So those, it was a fun time. I'm gonna pick this up and probably do Delaware, Maryland, and PA soon. I have some runs I want to do, and then just continue. The goal is just to travel from east to west and get as many people, all you guys, doing some 5Ks with me, hopefully in the future. Especially
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
3Ks. I'll settle for 3Ks, half Ks, whatever we want to do. All right, so that's just my little segment of the East Coast Run Tour. Now, today, what I want to do is, before we start the mental health and fitness segment, I want everybody, if you can, try to get a notepad and pen, even if you want to take notes on your phone. I think that's just a big part of.
My teacher self, look at me. I'm ready over here.
Rob is always ready.
There's no IT guy in the world that has a pen or paper, so I'll have my notes on hand.
I'm so
I'll get
old
up and
school,
go
man. I
get a
got notebooks
notepad and
everywhere.
paper.
Got you. Okay. I'm gonna go quickly into the April fitness challenge. The fitness challenge for myself this month is very simple. I'm doing 45 Ks. Okay. I do a 5K daily. I'm going for speed this month. I'm averaging about 8 minutes, 30 seconds per 5K, which is really good time for me. Trying to keep it under the 8-minute radar. And like I said, focus on speed, pacing, running in different places all over the states. And this month is going to be more relaxed. Just more
45 Ks is more relaxed.
more more relaxed compared to me running 4x4s in the middle of the night. I mean, what wacko does that? I mean, I guess I do. But I'm keeping it very simple. 45 Ks, and then this is what I want you guys to write down: the 15-minute core training daily challenge. Okay.
All right.
Now, I know Shara, you're part of Team No Excuses. Shara's a runner. Shara also works out online within a fitness group with Bally Cabrera. I've trained with Sid in the past. Sid is coming back, and Sid's gonna start doing some working out with me. So my April fitness challenge for myself within the 15 minutes is to combine any 4 or 5 exercises that I like and do it daily for 15 minutes. So it could be a combination of jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, dips, pull-ups. Create your own workout that you feel you can do daily. That's not going to become so tiresome or just, or bored. Wake up in the morning. If you get a quick 10 minutes in the day, start off, do 200 jumping jacks before you go into the shower. When you get out, maybe pop out 50 push-ups before your coffee. Keep a schedule of how long each one takes. Keep that regimen throughout the day and see what your progress is over the course of 30 days. See how you look, see how you feel, working towards your mental state. And like I said, I'm doing one myself. I'm going to the playground, and I have four sets I do. And on day 2, it's working for me. I've tried it before, but just staying consistent. If you need to give yourself a day break, take the day break. But for the course of 30 days, try to meet 25 days where you at least give yourself 15 minutes minimal to yourself. No excuses not to do it. You can't say, I'm tired. 15 minutes. 15 minutes is nothing. Break it down. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch, 5 minutes at night. If you want to go all 15 minutes in one shot, do it. But at the end of the month or the end of 30 days, you will have, the proof that you actually completed a small, but you know what? It is a physical challenge, and that small physical challenge can lead to bigger things for the summer. So,
trying to get that summer beach body ready, huh?
Yeah, whatever beach body we can get in. So,
Pete, let me ask you a question real quick on that.
Yes, sir.
Now that we're talking on that topic, so like you said before, I was doing the running with you until I contracted COVID.
Yes.
And once I contracted COVID, that kind of affected my breathing, and then I kind of tampered off from doing it only because, I've told you about my my other health issues that I'm having right now. Mm-hmm. So for the 15-minute core training, do you have any like a set amount of a set regimen as to what someone like me can do like at this point to stay healthy while I'm staying inside?
I think do whatever kind of works within your means of physical activity. Jumping jacks are pretty universal. They're standard. Start off maybe with 50 to 75 jumping jacks within a set. If you can do I don't want to say a burpee, but if you can do like a handicap burpee, a handicap push-up, maybe try a modified 20 within a set. It's whatever you feel that's going to give you your own workout. What's going to break a sweat? What's going to make you feel like, okay, I'm pumped up for the day. It's not something that's going to really be like, whew, that was a workout, but it's something, you know what I'm saying? It's something that you're just consistent with and you're going to work with.
To get the heart going.
Get the heart going.
Right.
I know, Robert, you told me you were doing some weights. You had some things going on in the apartment you were doing at one time.
So I live on the 4th floor in a very poorly built building. So
Same here.
I can't be doing jumping jacks or burpees or anything like that.
No Zumba classes for you?
Definitely not. You'll be hearing the neighbors. But you know what I've been doing? I'm loving them. Walk out push-ups. Walk the hands out to a push-up position, bring it back.
Okay.
and just knock out however many push-ups you can, but make sure you cannot complete the set unless you're walking it back.
Awesome.
If you don't walk it back, it doesn't count.
All right. So walk it back until I break my back. Got it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Hey, but I'm back running, man. I'm back running. I'm with you guys. I did 2 miles yesterday, so I'm getting there.
Good for you, man. How do you feel?
Yeah.
Good
I
stuff.
feel like junk, but
Yeah, it does.
no, I'm feeling good.
I
Man. I'm feeling good.
All right, cool.
I eventually, hopefully, to get on the trail again once my breathing is regulated and stuff like that. But if anyone that's had COVID, that's not in the best shape, trust me, even afterwards, you're gonna feel it. Like I've had it. I had it 2 months ago, and the breathing is still in and out.
Yeah.
Even when having a mask on, it's like sometimes I don't even want to have my mask on. It's infuriating, and I know I need to have it on, but at the same time, I wish I could just take it off and just breathe fresh air again.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've spoken to a lot of people who've told me that there's a lot of lingering effects.
Yes,
Yeah. All right,
and
cool.
it'll never go away.
Bring up,
Unfortunately.
I think you bring up a good point. That's kind of an issue for a lot of people with the breathing and the mask. Like finding the right mask that people can breathe easily in is something that is tough for a lot of people. So if you can, because I have asthma, Shara, I know also, so breathing is always an issue, right?
Yeah.
So I've tried, you try to get a good thick mask and you're on the treadmill and you're not, I'm not breathing well at all. So it's got to be careful, and you can hurt yourself if you're not ready.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna jump into the mental health and fitness segment right now. I'm gonna introduce you guys. You can give a nice little back end story of what you do, so that everyone can have a clear perspective on where your story is coming from. Sydney Pert is my partner at Graphic Runs, and he's also an IT analyst by trade, and my only tech guy I use for anything. So Sydney Pert, welcome to the show. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
No doubt.
Much appreciated.
Next, I have Shara Easter. Shara Easter is a director at One Love Foundation and a community fundraiser. Am I right on that?
That's
And
right.
And she's also my my running companion, and she's my I'm training her to be the best person she could be running. There's a marathon waiting for her. She actually did her first 5K, but she's also family. And Robert Salgado.
Yeah, I will say he pushed me to finish that 5K.
Yes.
All right. Nice. Congrats.
Nice.
Right. And Shara, knowing that growing up with you, you were never a runner in the past.
No, not at all.
Very happy.
I wouldn't even thank you, Peter. I wouldn't define myself as a runner. So I take that as a compliment, but I'm in the early stages.
And then we have Robert Salgado, who's been my co-host for the last few episodes.
Happy
He
to be
also
here.
has his own Leadership Matters podcast as well. He's an educator, influencer, motivator, and a mentor to others. Just want to thank you guys for being here. Now, I don't want to talk much about myself. I'm gonna jump in with Shara first. Give me a little back end story of how this pandemic has played out and how it's kind of just affected your personal being. Just a natural flow.
Yeah. So, in March 2020, when, the world shut down and everybody was working from home and staying home, I got put to stay home with 2 young kids. At the time, March 2020, I had a 4-year-old and a 6-month-old. And, I was working from home, also doing childcare, and my husband was home for a little while, and then he is an essential worker, so he was taken back into work, and I was pretty much on my own, and tons of family, but everybody was supposed to stay home and stay away from each other, and we were following those rules and following that protocol because a lot of health stuff with our families, with my parents and my brother. So we were being really strict about it. So it was pretty isolating. It was hard. It was frustrating. I think is the best way to explain it.
Okay. Now, in terms of being able to find yourself in taking on a new activity, becoming more active, and engaging in fitness activity, how do you feel that that has transitioned this experience in terms of from where it started and where it's at right now?
Yeah, last year it started. We were doing an initiative at my job where we were encouraging people to move, and it started. It started in April, and I just got out, and I was like, I'll go out. I'll do a mile a day, and I took the kids, and it was a great way to get them out. Also, get them some fresh air. They're crazy here in the house with me. It's not just me going through it. So that's how that started. And, Peter, you had started your fitness journey, and, your wife had started her fitness journey doing the online classes. And, I said, okay, you kept on talking to me saying, come on, go run a mile. You can do it. Just run. And I was like, well, I have the two kids. I can't run. It's hard to do it. So I just kept on pushing myself and doing it. Started with 1 mile. Then we would walk 2 miles. We would walk sometimes 2.5 miles. And I was forcing myself up to get up earlier so that we could do it before the workday started. And, then that from April in the summer, I started, running. I would add a mile sporadically. And then in the winter, and then I started doing the online classes, and that was amazing. And I started using the elliptical, just whatever I could to stay kind of moving, stay active. And then it was in the winter that I started really committing, probably in December, that I committed to really running and getting out there and saying, okay, I'm going to do a mile every day and, do these and setting running goals and, put the walking on the back burner and moved over, shifted into the run.
Gotcha.
And that's been since December.
Okay, cool. Now I have a question for Robert. As an educator working with kids, being remote, same question from the beginning of the pandemic to now. What strategies have you used to cope with the anxiety that you've seen, let's say, within your students, within yourself? Have you been able to facilitate certain things to help you as a teacher and your students?
Well, I mean, it's funny we talk about the connection between mental health and fitness, and I'm not a gym teacher and I don't coach any sports, so it's hard to, I mean, you can encourage your students to get outside and be active, but I can't really do that in the classroom. So the thing that I do is I put my students through meditation every single day. And we talked about breathing a little while ago. Breathing is such an important aspect of your fitness, but just an important aspect of your mental health as well. And some people use their breathing in their exercising to act as a form of meditation. So that's really been the biggest thing. For me in my life, it's been a lot of breathing, a lot of meditation. I encourage my students to do that. I put them through that every single day. We do not start class. I call it, in teaching, there's a thing called a do now. You're supposed to start a class with a do now all the time. We start every single class with a do nothing. Every single class we do 1 or 2 minutes of just absolutely nothing. And I love it. That's been the biggest thing that I've put forward.
I think, a lot of people underestimate the meditation part of the psyche, that just connects with the actual working out, the fitness part. Your brain has to be very clear to take on certain things, especially things that require strenuous goals. Like if your brain isn't right, if you're not in a good place, it's hard to, I've had the conversation with Cheryl several times with people around. Motivation is hard to push. You know what I'm saying? You have to be in the right mindset to actually put the foot forward and actually do it yourself. So I'm glad that you did mention the fact about meditating, finding that focus, because there are days where I have to reset myself, where I'm just like, oh, I'm tired of running. I ran yesterday. Like, what's the point? I ran enough for the week. It's always resetting, thinking about the long-term goal, and that's important.
Yeah. Let me elaborate or throw a challenge out there to you guys real quick. Just pick an exercise, one of these 4 exercises that Peter's throwing out there, and test yourself on one of them. Just see how many you do the first time around. And then the second time around, see how many you can do if you're focusing only on your breathing while you're doing it.
That's important. Breathing is everything.
You'll be able to do more the second time around, because you're getting not only is that oxygen going to your brain, but that aerobic exercise, that oxygen is going to your muscles as well.
Gotcha.
Hey, I do that on my online classes. That's really important. Like even on, when we're doing the circuit training, you have to focus on the breathing or you're not getting those reps in.
Got
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Right. It's meditative.
Okay, I have a big question for Sid because me and Sid, we have a back end story. Very very personal relationship, and I'm very connected with him and his brother, and his story is very different. He works remotely in IT. He's home, but I would I want him to tell the story of how this whole COVID ordeal has been affecting him, his family, and just because his story is a lot different. If you want to share it, Sid.
Yeah, sure. No, so before I get into that story, something that you guys don't know, or may or may not know. Pete, I know Pete does. I was born with mental illness. I have speech impediment and autism, or I had rather. I didn't talk until I was about 10 years old. So let's fast forward into the pandemic, and also with my IT trade. For me, the pandemic has been a sanctuary.
Mm.
Why? Because most IT people I know, I'm not, I'm sure you guys interact with your IT guys. They are, they're very into their work, and they're just glued onto a computer screen all day, and they're doing is just doing their work. Same with me. If I didn't need to interact with anyone, I'm totally okay with that. So it's been great for me. It's been great. I don't have to deal with the commute. Dealing with, and not to say that I am an introvert, but I can be an extrovert if I want to be. You know what I mean? But for me, this is just I love it. I love it. I love, like, I have my wife. We hang out. We'll watch a movie after work. We'll relax. So and when I got COVID, that's when it kind of started to hit home that this is real. It's a very very real experience. Um, I tried to do the running. I wanted to do the running. I did the running with Pete for like a couple weeks. My time was going down. I started running, and once I caught COVID, I kind of stopped everything. Even something as simple as going up and down the stairs just to get my heart going, just to get my breathing, try to get my breathing as good as possible.
Mhm.
It just didn't work out for me, and I kind of been sitting on the back burner with it, just saying, oh, I'm gonna start it again at some point. And right now, for me, that point hasn't come back yet. I'm
Mhm.
trying to get back into it into the summer, but I also have some other health ailments with as far as breathing is concerned. Uh, 80% of my airway is blocked by my tonsils,
Mm.
so I need to get my tonsils removed.
Yeah.
And doing that at my age is very, very, very difficult.
So you have a
So
complicated road ahead of you.
yes, so yeah, so I mean, in short, the pandemic's been fun for me. I've as far as work is concerned, I always find
Relax yourself over
positive
it. Too
spin on
much
everything.
fun.
I've had a blast, but as far as my health is concerned, it's been dwindling a little bit. But hopefully, with the right meditation, with the right medication and everything like that, with the surgery being done, hopefully I'll be back to normal and I can start on my journey again.
Got you. Got you. All right. Cool. Cool. I wanted to
Can I
jump.
chime in? Can I chime in real quick?
Yeah,
First
sure,
off,
sure.
let me just say, like, congratulations, because I work with special ed students a lot with autism, a lot with speech impediments. I personally did not say my first words till 4, so not quite 10, but I struggled with some things like that too. Um,
I didn't
so
know that.
and that's the P that I talk about in leadership, which is personal courage. So I commend you for that. Like, to go from a start like that to on here speaking live on Facebook and everywhere else.
And now you
Kudos
can't get me to shut up. But no, and I commend you as well. I didn't even know. Judging by seeing you, I would have never imagined that you went through something as the similar thing that I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my one of the claims to fame that my mother says out there is that she shook it out of me. So,
That's funny. I have a question for each one of you. And like I said, we all know that there are family members, friends, family, teenagers who are all going through their own ordeal, whether it's school related, whether it's not seeing their friends, or just taking part in normal activities that were there prior to the pandemic. Each one of you I want to answer. We'll start with Robert. What advice would you give to someone who was having trouble communicating? Like if you knew someone who was out there who physically, mentally was breaking down, what advice would you give to them in order to seek help? You know, outside of fitness, I'm talking about just on a personal level. What would you recommend?
What would I tell someone, you know, who's, I guess, themselves recognizing that they're having some struggles?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny when I sat down right before I logged on, I was writing some things down that I might want to mention. And the first thing I wrote down is everyone has to recognize the importance of you as a person. I tell my students that we have to think of ourselves as both the most important person in the world and at the same time the least important person in the world. And if you have things and people in this life that you care about, number one thing that you can do for them is take care of you first. Take care of yourself, your body, your own circumstances first, because you are the best way that you can take care of them. What you can do for them, the best thing you can do for them is take care of yourself so that you can simply be here for them when they need you. So just recognize your importance, you know, like you have a place, you have an effect on other people in your life, and without your vibration, it's just not going to be the same.
Got you. Shara, I have the same question for you. Difficult question, but like I said, in terms of people you know, family members, teenagers, what would you recommend to someone who doesn't feel that they have an outlet to speak to someone, or, you know, just get things off their chest? What would you recommend as a mother, as an aunt, as a friend for someone going through a situation?
I mean, I would just share that you're not alone. A lot of people that, you know, a lot of people go through this. I think the thing that's so, you know, when this happens, or, you know, I can't speak to if it's pandemic, or, you know, the fact that more people are talking about it, like even having the conversation about mental health, or, you know, having the conversation about anything, any topic that people thought was, you know, not something that you talked about and you kept it hidden, you don't share, you know, so just having that conversation and just letting people know you're not alone. Like so many more people go through this than don't.
Of course. What about you, Sid? I know you could definitely relate in terms of, you know, having a sibling, being able to be there for him. Anything you want to share?
So yeah, my brother works for a hospital, and when this pandemic first came out, that he was the one I was most worried about, because, you know, and my other brother too, because they're both working outside, but more so my youngest brother because he works at a hospital, and not only that, he works in a mental ward. So dealing with COVID and dealing with mental health at the same time, how do you cope with that on a daily basis, 5 days a week? And he's sometimes working ridiculous hours. Like sometimes he does double shifts, like from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. the next morning. I feared for him. I still fear for him every day. I mean, yes, things are calming down. He got the vaccine already, but sometimes he doesn't even want to go into work, just because the patients there could get a little rowdy, and that brings down his morality. He's like, why am I doing this? Why am I going outside to deal with these with the patients when I could just be at home and be with my family? But I try to encourage him every day. At the end of the day, you have to do what's needed, and he's better off for it. You know, he's very young. He's in his early 20s, so he's getting his foot in the door as far as like his professional career, and I commend him for what he's done so far.
He's a frontline worker.
Yep.
Frontline worker. That's commendable at a young age. Now, in terms of the fitness aspect, I'm gonna just give my take on it. I'll jump to Shara, then I'll jump to you guys. this fitness journey has not just been about getting in shape, losing weight. To me, it's been more about keeping the mind occupied, trying to stay level-headed, trying to release emotions, trying not to get so focused on what has been lost rather than what is still good in my life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, we speak about this. They've lost their home, they've lost family members, they've lost their career, they've lost their life savings, you know, because they don't have a job, and they it's just a lot of things on the table can just affect one person's life. So on a fitness standpoint, from where I'm at, I don't run anymore just to make myself physically better. It's the 20-30 minutes a day that I get to myself to relieve my stress. With Shara, I know that it's been a journey, and I know that physically I've seen the improvement. I know she recognizes it, but just explain the difference from where you felt before to where you are now, because to me, I've seen a dramatic change. You may not feel the same, but how do you feel?
Oh no, definitely physically dramatic change. I mean, I was when the pandemic started, I was 6 months postpartum, just had a baby. So, you know, the fitness journey over this past year I've lost all the baby weight and then some. But, you know, I agree. Like, maybe the walking started a little bit like, okay, I have to lose a little bit of weight. And, you know, I will say, like, watching Stephanie, like watching your wife drop sizes from her online workouts was definitely inspiration for physical. But I mean, it really exactly what you said. Like, it wasn't even about physical. It was just about being able to get away, get that space, like go, you know, get some fresh air, give the kids fresh air, give them the ability to run and burn some energy and get that out, because they lost all of that, you know, like they got taken out of daycare. They got taken out of interaction. They lost the ability to hang with friends and family. So that's what it started. And then even when I moved over into the running, you know, sometimes the hour workout was hard, you know, with working from home and 2 young kids. So even the running was like, okay, well, this is easy. I can go do, you know, when I first started, it was go do a mile in 12 minutes. And that's 12 minutes that I get to myself. And that first time that I went running, it was like, this might be the first time I spent 12 minutes to myself without, like, this is like the first time I've had 12 minutes alone. And I was like, I love it.
So what you're saying is the marathon is right around the corner.
If that's what gets me away from my kids.
Can you clip that one, please?
Yeah, this is all recorded. We're gonna take this back now. Robert, same thing. You know, we spoke, and I know that you have your physical activities that you do at home. Now you're starting the walking, the running journey. Are you seeing the improvement right now?
I'm feeling it.
Okay.
First off, number one, and I'm feeling it here. And I think that's the most important thing. For me, it started out with some walking. I got myself one of those rucksack, you know, like the military rucksacks, and I carry my books around in there. So I got about 20-25 pounds of books that I walk around with me. And then, you know, so then I started the running on top of that. But, you know, it has to have, for me, it stemmed from the books that I'm reading and the necessity for me to know that when I start my day or when I walk into a room, I got to know that I'm the most prepared person in the room. And that doesn't necessarily mean being prepared for the task at hand. It's just confidently, you know, like knowing, like, look, I handled some stuff already today. So I'm walking into this room knowing that I've already done my job and I'm here and I'm ready to focus and pay attention. And that feeling has been like the thing that keeps driving me forward. And I'm at the point now where I'm like, all right, what am I going to do to challenge myself tomorrow? You know, and I'm hyped about it, man. Like, I mean, I'm knocking out some serious push-ups right now and I'm loving it.
That's a great mindset that you're actually thinking, you know, the days ahead and you're trying to challenge yourself.
So, I mean, that intense person that Shara knew when I was real younger, he's coming back, Shara. Trust me.
Yeah.
There's some serious intensity.
Nice. Now with Sydney, I've worked out with Sydney. Sydney knows I've been his road dog. I'll jog
Don't
2
remind
miles.
me.
I'll jog 2 miles to go work out with Sydney and jog 2 miles back. That's my commitment to my boy. But I'll speak on my behalf of my workouts with him. At first they were a little tough, a little challenging to get him out to the track. But after I don't know if we went out there, maybe like 5-6 times we got out there. Towards the end, the numbers were getting way better on the 1 miler. He was breathing better, and just the energy level. He knows it. And then he caught COVID. And when he caught COVID, I was like, "Oh man, you got COVID. Now we got to start over. Come on, man." So yeah, Sid, tell them about your running journey. It was brief, but how do you feel?
It ain't over yet. Man.
I mean, it's not over, but yeah, I mean, of course, once I get through all my other nonsense going on.
On pause.
It's on pause, yes. Perfect way to say it. But at first, I was like, Pete, I'm not doing this. I'm good. I don't want to run. Nope. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna relax. And then I was like, you know what? I have COVID weight. I feel it I feel the COVID weight on me, and I'm like, I gotta get rid of this somehow. So I was like, all right, Pete, fine. I'm finally serious about it. Let's just do it and just get it over with. And he's like, yeah, I run the miles with you. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, you don't have to.
Because he's crazy.
See, I was gonna say, he's a generous person. He's a great friend. But I mean, if you want to say crazy, that's cool too. Yeah, you are pretty crazy.
I have a question to ask. This is fair. You all know me pretty well. Am I crazy?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
You are
extreme.
You are extreme.
Robert's on the Goggins train with me, and he's calling me crazy.
It's a good crazy though. I like it.
Crazy, good crazy. Okay, well, that's a fair deal.
You are a person who will jog 2 miles to work out, and then jog 2 miles back. It's extreme.
Yes.
God. You did your 5K last month, right?
And you told me that I have to do one every single month.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna jump back.
Hey, wait! I have a question. Have you talked to them about the that team relay challenge, the relay running challenge?
There's a relay challenge run.
It's like 36 or 48 hours, something like that. You get like 4 to 8 members on a team. One person is running the race at all times. While that one person is running, everyone else is chilling out by the campfire, napping and eating, right? And you just keep going 48 hours straight.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Through the woods at night, lions and tigers and bears.
Oh my.
Well, I have you guys quickly. We're gonna jump around for a little while. Vaccinations. Who's had them?
I got my first shot already.
Man, I miss mine. Long story, but I got to go back. I am gonna do it because I am in agreement that if we want to beat this, we all got to get vaccinated. It has to be a collective effort, and we got to stop overthinking the process. We've been vaccinated probably with worse stuff that we never knew about since we were born, and that's the God honest truth.
Exactly.
Mumps.
We're walking around with all of this. What's the hold up on this one?
Yeah, social media, and let's be honest.
I do want to interject for a second on that. I think it's more so because of the unknown. People are getting COVID at a young age. Not only that, but they're getting COVID even while getting the vaccine. So I think that's a lot of people's reservation. And to some degree, I do agree with that. I'm like, why am I going to get vaccinated if at the end of the day I'm still going to catch it anyway?
Yeah, but the vaccination is keeping the symptoms at bay, so it's getting weaker.
Yeah, but no,
I agree with you, Sid. I agree. Like a lot of people, like I've had this conversation with my husband. A lot of people are very much like the unknown. My counter is always, yeah, but we know the known with COVID. We don't know the unknown about the vaccine, but we do know what COVID is doing.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, and if it is a chance to kind of sort of stop it, then I'm all for it. And then at least it gets back to some type of normalcy. But yeah, at the end of the day, we still don't know, and we don't even know if this is going to get more powerful. Look what's going on right now with the UK variant. The
Yeah,
UK variant
all these
is
different
getting
strains.
And it's affecting children.
affecting children, young adults, teenagers, and they're perfectly healthy. And all of a sudden, just like this,
Gotcha. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna take a break from the mental health fitness. I said I was gonna do this to kind of ease the conversation, but it's not gonna be a. I want to give a shout out. I told Sid I was gonna do this. Look at the screen. Listen,
DMX.
let's say a prayer for DMX, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's not looking good, but you know, let's pay some homage to a rap legend from Yonkers. You know, someone who paved the way for just so many different things. You know, real New York hip hop. Um, During the highlight of one of the best generations of hip hop. You know,
Absolutely.
became an actor, became the face of the Rough Riders community. Um, if we're talking mental health, you know, DMX is a good example of talking about someone who suffered with just a lot. You know, I don't want to speak for the man himself, but whatever we know about him in terms of his mental battles, demons, drug use, you know, it's a sad thing to see for someone who's so talented and has given to just people all over the world in terms of music himself and just being just a staple in hip hop, you know, in the hip hop culture. Like people talk about him as an artist. DMX is a culture, you know, he's someone who redefined a whole genre of music when, you know, when hip hop was kind of fading in and out of New York, going down south. So, you know, the word on him is that he's on life support, not too much brain activity going on. You know, decisions probably will be made soon. And it's, you know, it's sad because this is someone that we all kind of love, you know, you know, DMX is DMX.
I grew up with him. I grew like he's gotten me through some very very dark moments of my life. And I mean, like there are a couple, a couple artists out there that did the same. But yeah, DMX, his first two albums, like I was telling you earlier, front to back,
Great
I
album.
can listen to it all day.
Mhm.
And I mean, you could tell his story. You can tell in his album what his story was, or what his story is rather.
Very
And he's
honest.
still going through it.
Mhm.
You know, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's no
Well,
one.
I think, like you just said, his what his story was. He was everything that he came from in his background. He was such a mentor to so many, to so many people, youth who grew up in that same situation can look to him and see a model of what they could become. And it's really sad. It's just a shame. You know, he has an illness and he has, you know, this addiction, and it's sad because he was very talented and he is such an inspiration to so many young people to see where they can go.
And a lesson to be learned as well, because you know so many of our young people are still dealing with those same things. And you know we talk about the mental health, and you know I put it out there on my channel yesterday that I'm very much focused on talking to young men about these issues, because our young men are falling prey to so many of the pitfalls that are out there. Substance abuse, drug abuse, you know, just simple stereotypical behaviors that a lot of our boys fall into that they don't have to, because we can teach them better now. We know better now. But I'll tell you what, DMX would be happy to hear his music blasting at one of the premier high schools this morning. So everyone was playing this stuff today.
So I want to actually touch on something that you just mentioned. There's one aspect that I think you should mention as well. The tech part of it. I mean, you know, social media. Social media, I mean, yes, as it's been a great facet for practically everyone. It's also a burden. It's also to some degree it's fake. Everyone is putting out their entire life story, and it might be fabricated. And some of our youth are following that, saying that, oh, I could aspire to be that.
Mhm.
But they're not living it themselves.
Mhm.
So why are we trying to follow this? Like we to some like I took a social media detox for 3 months. It was the most amazing thing in my life because at one point I would go on my phone, I go like this, and I know exactly where the Facebook app is.
Mhm.
And then at that point I was like, okay, I need to stop.
Yeah.
I need to give myself a break. And I think a lot of our younger you know, a lot of the young people out there, especially because of the pandemic, they need to give them a technological detox, even if it's for a few hours a day, just to like focus on themselves and just be in the moment versus being in someone else's.
Well,
If
I'm
that
glad
makes
you
sense.
said that, Sid, because that's one of the things I wanted to write down. I was actually going to come in the second segment. Is the social media detox? I do it myself. People in my family know I've done it before. I could turn off my phone for the whole day and be totally fine with not talking to anybody.
Because you're just going to be running the whole day, is what it is.
No, but what I'm saying is that, like I said, I feel like we're so glued to our mobile devices. We always want to post something. You know, if it wasn't for the social engagement of trying to start this podcast and bring the running awareness, you would never catch me on Facebook or social media except just posting general stuff. And I think that's something that we should try to pull back from. It could be an hour, 2 hours a day. I know work kind of forces us to be near our phones, but yo, try to give yourself an hour or two from your day where you just totally detach. The phone is off. You're not talking to anybody. Dedicate that 1 or 2 hours to something that you can do to make up for the time where you're actually looking up stuff about politics, about COVID, about things that just take over your brain throughout the day. There's so much
I
stuff.
think another interesting topic about that, not just the social media detox, is just social media versus reality. You know, I think that's what Sid was talking about, like really looking at, okay, this is the pretty picture that they put, and oh, all the likes, but you don't see the 30 outtakes that it took to get that pretty picture, or you don't see what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Oh, it
And-
makes me.
One of the things I
just-
wrote down. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bud.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, one of the things I wrote down before we came on here tonight was, our brains, our minds, our consciousness. We're pretty much just conduits of energy and information, right? And we have so much information coming at us at all times with our phones and our computers. So, taking a break is good, but not everybody is going to choose that. So I guess the seed that I would like to plant in people's heads is just recognize that whatever you're bringing in to your consciousness and into your mind and into your soul, that's what you're giving back out, right? So if you're doing nothing but, and I'm going to make a silly analogy, and I don't want to piss off the gaming community, but if all you're doing is gaming and playing first person shooter games, and that's what's constantly in your consciousness. And not to say that you're going to do anything, but that's what you're talking about. That's what you're putting back out there in your conversations with people. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to bring other things. You have to be aware to bring other things, like good things, positive things, peaceful things that you're learning into your consciousness as well, so you can give that back out there as well.
Of course.
We will have another podcast on that exact topic because
Let's do that.
I did it. I'm also I minored in infotech, but I'm a major in sociology. So, and I did my last paper as a senior was a 40-page paper just on that, video games and violence. I'm a gamer myself, but honestly, I was gonna say to go back on both of your points about the information and the rush of it. It's instant gratification, and that's the problem with technology, and that's coming from a person that's in the business. We need information as fast as possible. If we don't get it, we feel like we're disconnected from the world. We shouldn't feel like that. We shouldn't feel like that at all. But as you said, Rob, some people are not gonna. Actually, not some. A lot of people are not gonna follow that. They're just
Yeah.
gonna carry on their day, and they're gonna look for that instant that bump, that hit. For lack
Yeah.
of a better word, for that like, for that love, for that emoji. For what? That's not reality. You're living on a screen. But some people, or a lot of people, need that in their life to say, "I've achieved something."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. It's terrible.
And that's why, like, Peter and I have talked a lot about reading, and that's why I'm so passionate about what you read, and making sure you're reading the good things. And I always come, I always got my books next to me, like this one, No Mud, No Lotus,
Yes.
right? And it's all about. I mean, like I can say meditate all you want, but I mean that doesn't really mean anything, right? Like, so sometimes I get that I sound like a 60s guru, sometimes, right? Like that peace, love, happiness, and all that. And I can't stand it.
Oh,
'cause
good.
it's
You get
totally
that.
not me.
Okay.
What's that?
You get that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but it's not really like me. I hate the fact that I sound like that sometimes, but you just got to find a way to take a few minutes, take 30 seconds and just step back. It doesn't have to be long breaks, but if you focus for 30 seconds on nothing but your breath, that's powerful right there.
Yeah, it definitely is. Um, I had a question for Sharon. Okay.
Start spinning the wheel.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing like a little Wheel of Fortune thing going on. In terms of fitness health, where you're at right now, do you feel where are you at mentally in terms of prior to the pandemic? Do you feel that you need to do something to add more to the fitness level, or maybe bring in something from the outside, like something like meditation, yoga, maybe talking
Oh,
with
for
someone
sure.
online? Because even this right here is a form of therapy. We're talking together, we're expressing other. Are things like this something that you would recommend to other mothers who are working remotely to, doing what you're doing, staying active, working from home?
I think just, and we touched on this like with, when Robin said we're both talking about like being in a fourth floor apartment and not being able to do the sit-ups, I mean the jumping jacks. I think just finding what works for you. That's what I would recommend. I don't think it's like, I love the running. Like but it's not for everybody. Like if the walking is for you, the yoga and the meditation, I'm not there. It's definitely something that I aspire to and I know that I want to. I've tried the yoga, I've tried the meditation, but my mind is always racing. And what I've spoken with people about it, and what they tell me is your mind, you don't like, I think a lot of people feel that with meditation your mind is supposed to completely shut down and you're not supposed to think about anything. And they were like, that's the wrong way of thinking about it. It's not to say you're not supposed to have thoughts. It's just to say how to focus on one thought, or how to clear, you know, several different thoughts going on. And I want to do it? Yeah. Am I ready? Am I there yet? No. I mean, I have to get there because it's something that I still do need. But I would say my advice is just, find what works for you. Try different things and just, do something.
Got you. Robert, let me ask you a question now. Being in the being in the educational system, what would you tell any parent who's had a son, daughter who has not been in school for the past year? What would you recommend to them in terms of being able to introduce their kids back into the school year in September? Because that's a big thing for me. My son, my daughter have not stepped into a classroom since last March. And to me, it's a little nerve wracking because, these kids, the interaction is gone. Some of them are suffering from anxiety, depression. They might have lost loved ones. What, as parents, can we do to maybe work with the schools to make things a little bit easier in terms of the transition? We can recommend.
I feel like I can go on for a while about that one, but
It's a long question.
yeah, but I'm gonna maybe say an answer that you wouldn't expect. I'm actually gonna say, teach your kids that they don't need the school. They don't need the school. That's my biggest thing. They don't need the teacher teaching them. They can teach themselves. Look at all the information at their fingertips. All they have to do is have the willingness to go find it for themselves. The reason they need the school is for the community, for the people, for the socialization, for the connection to other people, right? The information that you're getting from your classes, you can look that up online and get all the same info and all the same stuff. You know, you don't need the content. You know, the big reason you're there is to connect with the people. Right.
And even at that, it's even at that, you know.
Well,
I was gonna say, I'm sorry. No, I was just gonna say that even at that, whatever's on the internet is up to a matter of interpretation. What they're teaching in schools, to an extent, that's a matter of interpretation as well. That's somebody's book. That's what somebody is writing. Is that the truth? Maybe, maybe not. So
I had a question for Sid, because this is one of the long-term goals of the Graphic Runs movement. You know, besides the running, the fitness, and blah blah blah, is the mentorship aspect. Being able to connect with young kids, boys and girls, parents, being able to go outside and be active. I would love to be able to bring a mentorship forum that looks exactly the way this looks right here, but with 30 kids talking amongst us. You know, Rob, you take 4 or 5 kids, talk to them in a chat room. Shara, add 4 or 5, whatever, talk to them about how, you know, and being able to just relate to them, ask them how their day is once a week, and being able to say, you know what, how are things at home? How's school? How's the transition? There needs to be more of a connection based on the remote way that we've been dealing with things, because outside of the classroom, how are we going to really understand what people are going through? You know what I'm saying? We're already drawn back. We're quiet. You know, we're reserved because we can't be so expressive with what we want to say, because everyone is dealing with some different type of shit. That's just the main thing. We all have a problem we're dealing with. So sometimes one of the biggest burdens we have as people is putting our problems on other people. And that's why I say mentors is really important. So my question to Sydney is this something that's actually doable for like the educational system to create forums just like this?
I think it's necessary.
Okay.
I think it's necessary. Look what's been going on in the last week. There was a shooting today in South Carolina, I believe.
Yesterday, I think. Yeah.
Yesterday.
Another one today in Texas.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah. Wow. There's been a shooting. Look what happened in DC. The kid rammed into the guardrail, jumped out of his car, and stabbed the officer. You know, it's mentorship is necessary, because unfortunately some kids don't have the access or the guidance to do what society deems as correct. I mean, you know, everybody's interpretation of good and bad it's up, you know, that's dependent on you, but you know, people need a lead to do the right thing. People need to be guided, and mentorship is a big key in that. So for all of us, like, to take on a few kids, just like you said, just to say hi, or, you know, how's your day going, or, you know, what activities you've been up to someone that, you know, to a young person, that's great. I used to love that. I used to love that when my teacher would just ask me, hey, what's going on in your life? I mean, that means that someone cares.
Exactly.
You know,
there's compassion behind it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the school system sometimes doesn't have compassion. And I think if you don't have it now, and you're not going to instill it going into the new year, then you're going to see a lot of absent-minded, you know, kids just walking. It's almost like walking through a haze. You know, like, these kids are not ready to function like they were a year and a half ago. things are significantly different.
Pete, you said some things that worry me. I guess top of them, the kids are not as ready to function as they were a year and a half ago, and I'd say that. I mean, in a lot of ways, that's true. But you also said that because of and I don't want to sound conspiracy theorist, but I have a soldier's mindset sometimes.
Mhm.
We are quiet. We are separated. We are divided.
Mm-hmm.
Those are not good recipes for moving forward. And this is, again, part of what I do with Leadership Matters. You know, my leadership are the 7 core values of the Army. And I still believe I'm serving my country in speaking and in trying not to be silent. Now, by no means am I saying, you know, we need to take up and be an army, but at the same time, like, you know, it's like I kind of am, but it's a different mindset now. This is how we fight, with education, with mindfulness, with preaching things like the mind, body, spirit connection, with teaching our kids how to handle their stress and anxiety and depression and all those things. Like, that's how we fight back. Because, you know, quiet, I forget who said the quote, but, you know, all that evil needs to triumph is for good men or good people to stay silent. You know, like, that's not an option anymore. You have to speak up.
Of course.
You mentioned something in the beginning of this podcast about going out there and getting experiences and then sharing those experiences. That's what our ancestors did, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, they went out there, they you know, lived their day, they fought for survival, and then they came back home to the campfire and they told stories to each other. They shared their experiences. That's all we're doing here.
Got you.
But the problem with that is, to an extent, some people don't have that opportunity.
No.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's another part of the mentorship. Maybe we could bring that experience to the kids that need, or, you know, to young adults or whoever actually needs it. You know, maybe
That's what
it'll
I was
give
gonna
them
say.
Mhm.
I was going to say the same thing. You know, like, there's adults that can't do this. You know, like, to expect kids to be able to be who they were a year and a half ago, when there's adults that have gone through this and are not the same people anymore.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're almost at the end of the show. I want everyone to think about something for the next few seconds. Give a closing statement to anyone who might be listening. You know, I'll start with myself. Just share your thoughts about how things can move forward. I'll start off by saying that my journey has been my own personal journey. It's not for everyone. Running has taken me to a place that has enriched my life, made me a better person. But go find something that's relative to being active. It could be whatever. Go outside, take chances. Go with friends, plan trips, be creative, do things that break the norm of the everyday pattern that we've been living in for the last year and a half, and experiment with yourself. You know, try to do things that are just going to always elevate your mind. Because if you're not willing to go into and reach certain boundaries, things are going to be the same. You know, we all have to have a little bit of growth. And it means stepping out of our comfort zone, doing the things like Robert knows, embracing the things that freaking suck. That's a Goggins mentality. The things that you do not like, the things you might actually hate, and go do them. You know, this is the quote of the God, there's a lot of great joy in suffering and pain. And trust me, I've experienced a lot of pain running. And, you know, I will tell you that once you hit that certain level of commitment within yourself, you start realizing change and growth. So that's my perspective to other people. Shara, you go. Robert, Sid, close it out. Let's go, Shara. What would you suggest?
I would just say, you know, I'll do the flip side and say, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, like, give yourself that room to grow. You know, like when I was talking about in the very beginning, you know, like when you talked to me and you were trying to get me into running, and I was the same way with Sid. I was like, nope, can't do it. I'll walk. But, you know, it's not to beat yourself up. If you can't do it, the walking is there too. So whatever you're doing, if, like to Sid's point, if the breathing is affected and you can't do what you're doing, any movements is getting you there. So in your journey, don't beat yourself up.
Of course. Sydney.
Okay. Whatever you're trying to achieve, don't give up on it so easily. I mean, yeah, I should be following my own advice, but sometimes it's hard, and just like you said, Pete, you have to do things that you don't like. At least give it a try, just to say that you've done it. And if you can't do it, it's fine. No one's gonna be mad at you. You just have to keep moving. There we go. Keep moving forward. That's
it.
That's it. Just keep moving forward. That's all of that. Just to say that one phrase.
Now we're gonna close it out with Robert Salgado, who I know has the best insight. Is ready. Come on, hit us with the Waymo.
I got something, man. I mean, that's why I love talking about this stuff, because I'm always paying attention and trying to read things. And, sure enough, I just read something a couple days. I love my Kindle, man. So I just went back to one of the things that I highlighted. I'm reading a new book called The Warrior's Creed. It's by this guy, Roger Sparks. And there's a quote here. It says, "If you have to choose between suffering and not suffering, always suffer. When we suffer, I believe it cultivates a kind of magic. This is the magic that benefits the people and the world around us. It is a sure way to live a meaningful life. Life without struggle is meaningless."
Absolutely.
No.
And, to something Sydney said earlier, there are a lot of people out there that don't really have the opportunity because their lives are a constant struggle. Mm-hmm. And they don't have the opportunity to do some of the things that, our upper middle class societies are capable of doing. But if you are someone who can choose whether or not to struggle or not, by choosing to struggle, you can understand the struggle of others. And that breeds compassion.
Great stuff. All right, guys, this was pretty darn good today. I'm glad to have everyone here. I think we
fun conversation, man.
We did. We hit some important topics. I think we hit home on just good ideas moving forward to help other people and just help ourselves. You closed something out, Robert, that was great, because you gave me a topic for Monday. I hope you're available, because I'm going to give you some insight. Sid, the fighter Francis Ngannou, who just won the heavyweight title?
That's UFC.
UFC heavyweight champion.
You've been trying to get me into UFC for the longest, and not yet. I'm not there yet.
His story, his back end story about struggles, survival, and perseverance. We're gonna talk about that on Monday. Follow up with a little bit of just that back end. But like I said, I appreciate having all you guys here today. It was great, and hopefully we can bring back Shara Salgado in the near future, because Sydney's gonna be on board. Shara, thank you. And
thanks for having me.
No problem. Go run.
Good to see you, cousin.
Good to see you, cousin. Good to see you, Sid. Good to see you, brother.
Good to meet you, man.
Definitely. So I'm gonna sign out and I'm gonna watch some Netflix. I'll talk to you guys soon. And
go run.
I ran 5 miles. Yards for Yardley. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
You're well. Thanks for everything, bud.
Peace.
Later, guys.